Welcome back to Paper Expressions video. Today we're going to use brads and aluminum. Yes, aluminum. This can't be a manly card without aluminum. Remember that us guys like shiny and tools. So let's get started. So we're going to start with a piece of very vanilla cardstock, cut to 3 3/4 by 5 inches, and we're going to use the tree from the Seasons of Friendship stamp set, and we're going to use chocolate chip ink. Now, because this is such a large stamp, turn it upside down on the table like this, and actually put the ink to the stamp instead of putting the stamp on the ink pad. And this way, you can see when you've got the entire stamp all inked. Alright. Now I'm going to put this a little closer to the bottom of the cardstock so that it's slightly off center since it's a tree. Now we want to add a little more color to this. It's kind of boring this way, so what we're going to do is we're going to use the color spritzer tool, and we're going to start with the Dusty Durango marker, and I'm going to load this with the fat end up. We do that just by putting it in here and then just turning this. Now don't turn this too hard, otherwise you'll break it. Then just hold this vertically over the card and just squeeze the bulb, and what it does is that it just splatters a little bit of ink all over the card. And when you've got enough of that, then let's go ahead and change, because I want to add a different color, and this time I'm going to use the old olive marker. Again, we're going to use the fat side. Slide it in here like this, just tighten that down, turn it up, and again we're just going to splatter a little ink all over this, and when there's enough, then we just quit. And you can do as much or as little of this as you want. Now I'm going to set this aside to dry. Now we're going to take our trio flower punch, and we're going to take a piece of aluminum. And if you need a reminder on how to prepare the aluminum, go see video part 1 of Cat on a Hot Tin Road. So we're going to center the aluminum in the punch like this, and then turn it upside down and just punch the flowers out. And I'm going to punch one more set so that I have a few flowers. Now, don't worry about punching aluminum with your punch sets, because the aluminum actually helps to sharpen a little bit, and we've cut plenty of cardstock after I've been doing these aluminum, and it cuts just fine. Now, if you can see the little flower, it's got a little curl to the edge, and that's okay because that's the effect that we want to show. So let's take these little flowers and put them out here. Now take your paper piercing tool and your paper piercing pad, and what we're going to do is I'm going to take and I'm going to poke a hole right in the center of each one of these little aluminum flowers. Now for this particular card, you're going to need 10 of these little flowers, and I'm not going to take the time to do all 10, but you can see how that's poked right through there. And I'm going to do one more. Now what I do is I actually leave the last one on the tool, and the reason is because when I take my card, I can now kind of judge where each one of these is going to go when I start to poke holes in the cardstock, and that way I can kind of place them where I want them. Once I get the holes punched, I just take the flower off, and I'm going to attach the flowers to the cardstock using the vintage brad set, and I'm going to use the antique brass brads out of this. Now, I have really fat fingers, so I don't reach in here very well, so I use a pair of tweezers, and I use that to stick that down through the flower, and I stick this on here, and then I take my paper piercing tool and I run it down the middle of the brad, and like this, and that just helps spread a little bit, and then you can punch that. Now when you're putting these on, be careful you don't curl the leaves or flatten the leaves, and if you happen to, just grab the leaf and just bend it up a little bit. So, using the miracle of TV, here's flowers completely attached to the card. Now we're going to take this and we're going to attach this to a piece of Dusty Durango, and that has been cut to 4 by 5 1/4. So we'll take our snail we'll just put some on the back here, and we'll stick this onto our Dusty Durango. Be careful you don't press down where the flowers are. Now, the reason I attach it to the Very Vanilla is because now I've hidden the back of the brads, and they don't poke through, and they're completely hidden. Now, take a piece of 8.5 by 11 inch chocolate chip cardstock, cut it at 5.5 inches, fold it, take the bone folder, give it a good crease, and now we're going to attach this to the chocolate chip. So we take again our snail, and we just attach that to the card like that, and we just press down, and there we have the basis for the card. Now I want to add a greeting. So I'm going to take a piece of Very Vanilla cardstock, and this is just a scrap. It doesn't matter the size. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Let's Celebrate stamp from the On Your Birthday stamp set. And I'm going to take the chocolate chip ink and ink it up. And then I'm just going to poke that right in the middle of there. And then I'm going to take my large oval punch, and I'm going to center this in there, like that. Pretty close. Turn it upside down and punch it. And there we have our little oval that we need. Now, here's my trick for the day. I have fat fingers, and so I don't deal with small very well. So what I do is I take my snail, and I put some adhesive on that. Then I take a piece of Dusty Durango. Again, this is just a scrap. And I'm going to take my scallop oval, and I'm going to put it in here like this, center it up, and then I just punch it. And now it's perfectly centered, and I don't have to worry about it with my fingers. Now we're going to take a couple of dimensionals, and stick that on there, and it doesn't matter if they're even. And then we bring our card back, and we just place it somewhere where we think it'll look good. And there we have it, another manly card. Now for a variation of this card, here's a winter card in Bordering Blue using the same Season of Friendship stamp set, the tree. And we used pearls from the Pretties kit, and we used the Versamark and the Iridescent Ice embossing powder. You can see it kind of shine there. And we used the Silver Encore ink around the edges here to kind of just give it a little bit more texture. And of course, we used aluminum. So there you have it, a variation of that same card. So thanks for stopping by, and see you next time.